Loren Culp on the phone lines with us. Loren, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great, Dave. Thanks
okay.
for having me on.
Well, my levels in my headphone are very, very goofy here. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but kind of an inauspicious opening to the program, so I apologize for that, but glad you're hearing me okay here. Boy, that is just awfully odd. Well, I remember talking to you, Loren, about a year ago. You had to jump into your car during the lunch hour and talk about the campaign kicking off, and lo and behold, you outdistance a very crowded field and are taking on Governor Inslee, the incumbent, trying to seek a third term for governor, and congratulations on the strong showing in the primary. You did very well here in north central Washington in the primary.
Yes. Yeah, it's been quite a journey, Dave. I started running, it's a year ago this last July, after, being asked by citizens to run. I wasn't the establishment pick. I stood up for citizens' rights back in 2018, and that got me a little bit of notice. I ended up writing a best-selling book called Loren Culp, which led to me being invited around to Republican Party Lincoln Day dinners through the spring of 2019 after that book went to #1. And people started asking me to run for governor, and I just looked around, after being asked by a lot of citizens that I was speaking to every weekend through the spring of 2019. And I looked around, didn't see anybody that I could trust to stand up for citizens' rights the way that I did back in 2018. And having 2 grown sons and 7 grandkids that live in this state, and being a lifelong resident, I definitely didn't like the direction our state has been going and will continue to go with another 4 years of Jay Inslee. So I jumped in with both feet and, to emerge out of a field of 36 candidates as the one to take on Jay Inslee, I'm definitely looking forward to this.
Loren, you're a real law and order guy, of course, police chief in Republic, but let's talk about the situation that we've got going on all around the country, and certainly we're 150 miles away from Seattle, a little further away from Portland, where you could say it's even worse right now. But how would you have responded if you were sitting in the governor's mansion in that capacity to the violence that we're seeing going on in Seattle, but particularly back during the CHOP or the autonomous zone situation there?
Well, we're all allowed to peaceably assemble, speak our mind, go to the church of our choice. That's our First Amendment right. And to peaceably protest is the key part of that, and that's allowed. And I've seen the video, of that officer putting his knee on the neck of Mr. Floyd in 8 to 10 minutes. That's not something that's taught in police academies anywhere across this country. It's not any police department's policy to allow that kind of thing. And to protest the death of Mr. Floyd, totally warranted. But when it turns violent, when people start looting businesses and lighting buildings and cars on fire and throwing rocks and frozen water bottles at the police, that's no longer a First Amendment protected right. That's a riot, and it needs to be shut down. There's people that own businesses in there, that people that work there, people that live there, and they deserve law and order just like everyone else in this state. And if the local law enforcement isn't being allowed to do their job by the people that are in charge, then it would go up to this county sheriff. I would have a conversation with the county sheriff. If they're not going to take care of it, then I would send in the National Guard to shut it down. I would not do like Jay Inslee did and send our young men and women in uniform into a violent situation unarmed. That's what Jay Inslee mandated, that the National Guard go in there, but they go in there without the means to protect themselves or other people. I would have them spun up and staged close to where the violence is starting to happen, and then when local law enforcement called for backup, the National Guard would be there within minutes, and they would have the means to protect themselves and other people because that's what they're going in there for. And they would have helped to arrest the criminals, the people that are causing the crimes, and put them in jail where they belong. That's how you handle a violent situation. You don't negotiate, and you don't allow it to happen. Jay Inslee didn't even know what was going on, according to him in a press conference. That's absolutely unacceptable. It just shows the failed leadership of Jay Inslee. And I spent 4 years active duty in the United States Army. I was a sergeant, a combat engineer, and then 20 years running my own business, and the last 10 as a police officer and 4 years as a chief of police. So I've got a pretty well-rounded perspective on what's going on in this state, and I would not allow that kind of thing to go on. You know, if you allow bad behavior, you're going to get more and more bad behavior, and it's been continuing since they first started.
We're talking with Loren Culp. He is a gubernatorial candidate, and right now, today, talking with us in Republic, but going to be doing quite a few events kind of heading into this weekend over in Western Washington. But you've been very active with a lot of events here in North Central Washington. We'll ask about when maybe some of the next events around here are going to be coming up in a little bit. Want to kind of move on to what's, of course, on everyone's mind. Today's kind of the first day of school around the Wenatchee Valley today, in both the Wenatchee and Eastmont school districts. But Loren, but how would you have responded if you were in the governor's mansion already to the COVID-19 spread with respect to businesses and schools?
Well, after we, the people, kick Jay Inslee out of office in November, and I take the oath of office in January and become the next governor of Washington State, if there are any restrictions that are left on by Jay Inslee, they will be immediately lifted by executive order from me, and we will return the power back to we, the people. We can make decisions on how to run our businesses safe. We can make decisions on how to run schools safely. But the biggest thing that I think that most citizens are concerned about is having one person in the governor's office. Well, I shouldn't say one person. He's paying consultants $160,000 a week from taxpayer money to advise him on what to do. But we don't need the governor dictating to us what we're going to do in our daily lives, in our businesses, and with our families. You know, this isn't the last virus we're going to have. It's not the first. You know, we've had Ebola, AIDS, SARS, bird flu, swine flu. They come and they go. This is a virus that has killed less than 0.2% of the population. Over 60% of those that have died have been in nursing homes with pre-existing conditions. So it's a very small percentage. And what I will do as governor when the next virus comes around is I will have press conferences with the medical professionals to inform people about what's going on, what it is, what might happen if we don't follow the medical advice. You know, let people know what we should do to protect ourselves, our family, and our businesses. And as a governor, make sure that the supply chain is as open as possible for any equipment that's needed. And then let free individual citizens decide what's best for themselves, their family, and their business. Because currently we have a governor who's picking winners and losers. You know, if you own a pot shop or an abortion clinic or a big box store, you could be open, you could conduct business. But if you owned a gun store, a church, a mom and pop cafe, or a salon or barbershop, you had to shut down. And we are smart enough to know that the virus doesn't know which buildings it can go into, which buildings it can't go into, just because Jay Inslee says so. So he's picking winners and losers based on what he thinks. And that's not how you govern the state of Washington. That's not how you govern any place with free Americans, which we all are. You know, the governor should be running the executive branch of the state government and allowing citizens to decide what's best for themselves and their businesses. So that's a big difference between me and Jay Inslee. You know, at the same time, he's handing money out to people from foreign countries. You know, he has hundreds of thousands of dollars stolen or given away from the Employment Security Department, right? Someone took the barriers down to keep that from happening. So hundreds of thousands of dollars gone. And then the federal government allocated $40 million to Washington State to help out with the nursing homes because that's the most vulnerable among us. And that equated to about $30 per patient going to nursing homes to help out with more equipment, more staffing. But Jay Inslee decided that, no, we're not going to send $30 per patient to the nursing homes. We're only sending $5 per patient to the nursing homes. And that's the kind of governor we have. It's going to change, definitely, when I become governor.
We're talking to Loren Culp. He is running for governor. And would you have involved the legislature? You know, even in states like California, they did call the legislature into, I guess, their state assembly, I think they called it, to deal with measures involving COVID-19 issues and things like that. That hasn't happened in the state, despite Republicans' call to bring us back to Olympia. Let's discuss some of these issues and try and deal with the $8 billion shortfall. Would you have brought in the legislature for a special session?
Well, that would have been a step in the right direction, but I don't believe that it's government's business to tell us what we're going to wear or whether we're going to be in business or stay home. That's not freedom. And the thing that's going on right now, obviously, is we have one person that's doing it. So, I mean, that would be a step in the right direction, but we have to remember that all elected public servants and appointed public servants alike take an oath of office to uphold and defend the Constitution of the state of Washington. And if you dig a little deeper and look at Article 1, Section 1 of the state Constitution, it says that the power is inherent in the people and government is there to protect our rights. And then Article 1, Section 7 says that no citizen shall be disturbed in their private affairs. And so, although it's a step in the right direction to call the legislature to react to this, it's not the thing that should be done. We should not be restricting citizens' rights no matter what. You know, remember back in World War II, Democrat President FDR, because of our safety, you know, and that's what this is all about right now going on in Washington State, according to Jay Inslee, is our safety. But FDR took about 120,000 Japanese Americans out of their businesses and out of their homes and put them in internment camps for our safety during World War II. These were American citizens of Japanese descent. And thankfully that was turned on its head later, and they were awarded millions of dollars for the rights being violated. But I don't think that it's appropriate without due process to ever trample on any citizen's rights, because they don't come from government. Our rights come from God. They are given to us by our Creator, and government's there to protect them.
We're talking to Loren Culp. He's running for governor. Now, we are, as I mentioned, going to have what's projected to be right now about an $8 billion shortfall over the next 3 years. And you want to rein in state spending. Looking at your website, if you go to Culp for Governor, you'll see solutions and a whole host of topics there. We're not going to be able to address all of these. We're going to have you back on the agenda. We've got some more dates picked out to have you back again. But talk about state budgeting and reining in state spending. You say we simply have to stop government spending and put a halt to the runaway state budget.
Yeah, absolutely we do. You know, that's what we do in our family budgets. That's what we do in a business budget. If the income is cutting down, you cut spending. You know, you have to stop the bleeding. I ran my own business for over 20 years. I know all about that. If you don't get a payment from someone that you did work for, your income stream is cut. You have to quit spending. You can't just keep spending money like the Democrats always want to do. And Jay Inslee wants to take the easy way out. He talks about cuts across the board. Well, that's the lazy man's way of doing it. Running your own business like I did, you don't make across-the-board cuts because some programs are needed, some aren't. And you look at everything on a line item. If you're running a private business and you do across-the-board cuts, then you're cutting out fuel that you might need to get to a job. You're cutting out advertising that you need to get new customers. there are good things and bad things, things that you have to do, things that you don't have to do. And you can shuffle things around and you can cut spending. And that's what I plan on doing. I plan on taking the hard road and looking at everything as a line item and not doing the easy way out, which is across-the-board cuts. Because, like I said, there's programs that we need. We need to take care of people that we're supposed to be taking care of. That includes the elderly and the handicapped. But there are things that we can cut back on. And we can encourage people to retire as well, and eliminate this big load of government partially through attrition as well. But the budget has doubled since Jay Inslee took office. This is a guy who said he's not going to raise taxes, but the state budget has doubled in his 8 years, and we do not need another 4 years of that.
What is your plan to rebuild this economy after COVID-19? Just let businesses open up and get out of the way, and just kind of let things reopen up and recover. Do you have some other thoughts on that?
Well, it's definitely not more government like the Democrats think that will solve this problem. It's less government. We need to get government off our backs, out of our pocketbooks, and free up our economy. And that includes farmers dealing with the Department of Agriculture, L&I. That includes small businesses, big businesses. The biggest deterrent to doing business in Washington State is our state government. Jay Inslee has his departments out fining small businesses. There's a lady in your area runs a petting farm, and she's shut down. She rescues animals, but now she is shut down because of Inslee's mandate. And unable to come up with money to feed the animals that she's rescued. And there's a barber shop in Snohomish County, a person that's been in business in this state since the 60s, and Jay Inslee has fined him $90,000 for doing nothing but cutting one person's hair at a time. This is not a business-friendly state, but it's going to be a business-friendly state and a family-friendly state after I take office and get this government turned back around.
We're talking with Loren Culp. He's running for governor. I was just looking at your events page right now, and right now, the next couple of events are over the next few days, kind of around Redmond, I think up in Mount Vernon. But the thing I think is kind of interesting, they said victory rallies crossed out, and it says protest, victory protest. And I'm sure you have an interesting thought on why they're called victory protests.
Well, Jay Inslee seems to like protests and riots and mayhem and crime, because he released about 1,000 prisoners out of our state penitentiaries, 5,000 over the last couple of years in total because of a glitch in the Department of Corrections system that he knew about. 2 of those people have committed murder, but about 400 out of that 1,000 that he just let out for the COVID have reoffended. So he's all for crime. He's all for suppressing citizens. He's also all for fining citizens and shutting down businesses. And so we're going to go to King County. We're having a protest rally. That's what we're calling it. I will be speaking. There will be a couple other conservative speakers, along with music, live music, and food trucks in King County Friday night and Saturday night. And then Sunday we'll be down in Pierce County. But people can go to my Facebook page, Culp for Governor, and click on the events tab and see exactly where they're at. Let your friends know, share it for us, get the word out. And there'll be more coming. And my website is culpforgovernor.com.
So, do you have any events planned back in north central Washington in the next, week to 10 days, anything like that? Kind of looking into September, you're going to be back in this area with some events because they have been very well attended in our area. In fact, on primary election night, you celebrated, in fact, right in Leavenworth. So this has been a hotbed of support for you right here.
Absolutely. We love that area, and we will be back. We don't have any dates firmed up yet, but if everybody could keep track of our Facebook page and the events tab, we will be putting that out soon, hopefully.
Well, Loren, this is an uphill battle in the respect that we have had Democratic control of the governor's mansion for so long, but you're really trying to turn a tide here. How are you getting that message across over in Western Washington, where it's such a stronghold and so many voters over on that side, it seems like dictate how our state is run. What's your message that you're trying to deliver, particularly in the Puget Sound region?
My message is the same all across this state because it's common sense. It is based in the rule of law and the Constitution, which our country was founded on. And what's resonating across the political aisle, it's why I'm getting so many Democrats that come to my events. They email the campaign, and they're first-time Republican voters. They've never thought about voting for a Republican in their entire life. And one gentleman was over 60 years old. But my message that once our government is reined in, once it is bound down by the rule of law, which is the Constitution, and our government follows the Constitution, and our elected public servants follow their oath of office and keep it, then everyone is protected equally under the law. It doesn't matter your race, your color, your creed, your religion, your age, your sex, your education, or your income. Everyone is protected equally under the law when it is applied. And what we've seen with Jay, it's not applied equally. He's picking which businesses can open, which ones have to close. That won't happen under the Culp administration. Everyone will be treated equally and protected equally under the law. And that's the biggest message. That's the biggest part of my message that is really resonating with people across the political aisle. And we're getting so much support. You know, when you're a governor, an incumbent, and you only get 50% of the vote, he's in trouble. You know, I don't have to gain much more than 50%, right, to not even have a recount. And so that's my goal. I'm going to keep on the road. I'm going to keep on the message and spreading it to citizens. We did no TV on the major networks at all. No TV advertising on the networks. It was a grassroots campaign, and it's going to be a grassroots campaign. The more money that we can raise, the more we can do on the networks as far as advertising and getting the word out. So if anybody can afford to donate, it would be much appreciated. We're going up against a huge liberal machine that's behind Jay Inslee.
Well, we appreciate the time today, and we'll have you back on the program here before too long. Again, it's Loren Culp running for governor. The website is Culp for Governor, and if you go there, there's also links to all the events that you've got there. It kind of ties into your Facebook page, your events page there as well, and they'll be posting events in our area soon, and really appreciate you coming on the program today.
I appreciate it, Dave, and hopefully see you soon.
All righty.
Thank you.
Thank you.